Ah, Kamala Harris, the wicked wench of the White House, the Machiavellian mistress. You know, every time this woman's in front of a camera, she's about 2 seconds away from lighting herself on fire. And the recent interview about the border crisis went about as well as you'd expect.
You had a message for would-be migrants. Don't come.
Do not come. Do not come.
The notion that the border is closed. Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in?
Well, Lester, here's the thing. I've been working on this issue for a very long time.
Woman, you've been on the job for about 6 months and you have made a monumental cock-up of it. All you had to do was enforce the fucking laws of the previous administration. If you have to do more work to undermine a successful policy as opposed to going with the classic, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, you know there is some sinister intentions behind it.
And the kind of violence and danger that is associated with that trek, especially when we're talking about from Guatemala through Mexico to the United States, it is extremely dangerous.
Yes, and they're willing to make that violent journey because you fucking told them they can come in. If you say Free Shit Inc. is open for business throughout the entire election campaign, don't be surprised if smugglers take notice.
And the reason that I am in Guatemala is to address the reasons people leave home, flee. Knowing that the people who are here for generations, or if we know the history of Guatemala for centuries, they want to stay, they don't want to leave. But they need opportunity, they need assistance, they need support.
But Americans don't see
and we have the ability to give them that.
Yeah, because the Democrats are so well known for making poverty-stricken regions prosperous and self-reliant.
Americans don't see a lot of that on a daily basis. What they do see at their own border, children being lowered over fences, children coming in with, phone numbers stenciled on their hand.
Yeah.
And so the question has come up, and you heard it here, and you'll hear it again, I'm sure. It's why not visit the border? Why not see what Americans are seeing in this crisis?
Well, we are going to the border. We have to deal with what's happening at the border. There's no question about that. That's not a debatable point. But we have to understand that there's a reason people are arriving at our border.
Again, that reason is you. And the reason she isn't going to go near that border is because she would have to admit that the reality is her administration is responsible for that crisis in the first place. And even with fucking kid gloves, she looks grossly incompetent during a damn interview. Surround that by a hellstorm of a problem that is their own making? Oof, that is horrible PR. Why would they do that?
The administration looking to inject billions of dollars in aid to this region to help reduce that migrant surge. In April, nearly 180,000 migrants were apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol, the highest number in 20 years. And more unaccompanied migrant children come from Guatemala than anywhere else.
Oh, great. So instead of giving them aid inside the border, you're going to give them U.S. taxpayer-funded aid outside the border. Oh, stunning and brave. What a remarkable improvement.
Over 16,000 unaccompanied children tonight in custody. What's victory look like in this, or what does improvement look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I would suggest to you that we have seen progress already. When we have 12 of the biggest corporations of America I convene them in my office, and they have agreed to help us work on this issue.
Okay, define progress for me real quick. You had the highest surge of migrants in 2 fucking decades. Far as that, 12 of the biggest corporations of America convened in my office. That is code for exploitable cheap labor. You think these massive corporations give an ounce of a fuck about anything other than profits? Hell, Tulsi Gabbard thumped this bitch like a ragdoll regarding exploitation of prison labor.
She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California.
Yes, I'm sure you really, really care.
Success so far is the bringing together of community-based organizations, not only in the United States, but here in Guatemala. Today, that was one of my meetings with civil society leaders.
Notice her idea of success as regarding border policy doesn't actually include enforcing successful border protection laws. Is no one alarmed by that?
To let them know we see them and we understand their concerns about corruption, and we also understand their role of leadership to help us in terms of how we prioritize our work in this region.
I'm sorry, but this woman talking about corruption, it's like fucking Castro talking about human liberty.
So how quickly does this change what we see at the border?
I don't know that we're going to see listen, I've been very clear from the beginning. There's not going to be a quick fix. So we've seen progress. But the real work is going to take time to manifest itself. Will it be worth it? Yes. Will it take some time? Yes.
Okay, what does that mean exactly? The previous administration had record low border entries and a strong enforcement of the border policy. Hell, the real work and the results manifested itself then. Then you came in and fucked that all up. Again, you have the highest surge of migrants at the border in 2 fucking decades. Either this woman is woefully incompetent, or she's a power-hungry sociopath, and actually giving her record as a prosecutor, we're going to go with the power-hungry sociopath. There is not going to be a quick fix. Yeah, no shit, genius. Especially not when you have no intention of fixing the problem, seeing as you're the sole fucking reason it's gotten worse.
There's one other topic I wanted to talk to you about, but let me just quickly put a button.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today.
Notice doesn't even attempt to answer the question.
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border.
Okay, someone needs to drive this point home. We're going to the border, we've been to the border. That doesn't even make sense. How and why are you going to do something you've already done? I know it's nerves, and every performance this woman does, whether it's a debate or an interview, is a fucking disastrous train wreck, but it does speak to 2 larger problems. Firstly, this laughing thing that she does whenever she's confronted with an inconvenient fact of political reality. It does not make her look competent or warm. It makes her look deranged and insane. I don't know who is paying people to coach these politicians, but for heaven's sake, get your money back because you suck at it. I will bet money whoever coaches her also coached Hillary Clinton because they have the exact same mannerisms. The other reason is the Democratic Party platform. These people run on a platform of being the heartstring-tugging problem solvers. If they actually solve their problems, they'd be out of a job, so there's no incentive for them to do anything. If you ever wonder why the Trump team looks so much sharper with the quips and the comebacks, it's because they're dealing with reality. They can say it like it is. Democrats don't operate on that same framework. Their shtick is to obfuscate reality and muddy up the waters as much as they possibly can, which is why they never give a straight answer. Their entire party is operating on BS vagary. Look at the race baiters, the blue districts. Name me a family business they've helped. Name me a district they have elevated out of poverty. You can't. For 60 years, blue districts have been full of crime and poverty, and their politicians love that. It's a campaign issue.
I'm in Guatemala because my focus is dealing with the root causes of migration. There may be some who think that that is not important, but it is my firm belief that if we care about what's happening at the border, we better care about the root causes and address them. And so that's what I'm doing.
Good Lord, I don't know how on earth these people get away with so much propaganda. Within 6 months, you've managed to take the most functional border protection in decades, and you've turned it into the worst crisis in 20 years. There is no objective variable that anyone can point to and say, this is improving border protection. Hell, the current policy is simply a staggering act of psychotic malevolence. Unbelievable. Now excuse me, I have to go and cleanse myself of this woman's grotesque stench of negligence. Until next time.